Hey, it's Jamie Anderson, and several of you have asked about how I got my start in music and in teaching, and so that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. I'm going to play you some snippets of songs that I learned early on in my career and tell you about how I got my first students and how I got started on YouTube. I promise not to be boring. I pretty much left out of the womb singing. I've always loved to sing. My dad played guitar, so I heard live music around the house, which was great. I borrowed one of his guitars when I was 15 and never gave it back. In fact, it's right here on the wall of my music studio. I also borrowed one of his music books and memorized every chord in the book. At the time, I was a Girl Scout, and Girl Scouts sing all the time, and often they are simple folk songs, maybe 3 or 4 chords. And so I learned some of those songs, but I couldn't quite change chords without stopping. I didn't quite understand strum patterns. I just kept slaving away at it. And this is the first song that I learned to play where I could change chords without stopping. And if you take my hand, my son, all will be well when the day is done. And if you take my hand, my son, all will be well when the day is done. 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 I was so excited to be able to change from G to D without stopping. I played it for my best friend, and she stopped and she said, "You played it too fast." So I sweat over this song, and this is the first feedback I get. You played it too fast. Oh well. So I learned songs in Girl Scouts. I got in with a group of musicians when I was in high school. We did a few gigs together. At one of the rehearsals, I told one of the guys in the band I just wanted to sing, because in the 70s, you didn't see a whole lot of female guitar players, and I thought girls were just supposed to be singers. So when I told my bandmate, Peter Robbins, I just wanted to sing, he looked at me and he said, "You're a guitar player, you should play guitar." Okay then. And sometimes I hear his voice in my head whenever I'm feeling a little reticent about something or not getting a lick on the guitar or something. I hear him say, "You're a guitar player, you should play guitar." I continued to learn. I started learning things from albums. This is the first song that I learned from an album. I mean, this is like a turntable and dropping the needle down for a few seconds and bringing it up and dropping it down and just learning it piece by piece. That last riff. Anyway, that's Needle and the Damage Done by Neil Young. That was the start of my lifelong fandom. I love Neil Young. I've seen him in concert a couple of times, and he's amazing. So my little high school band didn't last very long, and after high school I did local gigs. I was living in Phoenix, Arizona at the time, and I played in coffee houses and clubs, places like that. I went to a music festival in Michigan in the late 80s, and that's where a woman heard me play at the open mic, and she thought I was so good, she gave me money to do an album. So I recorded a little album in a local studio. I had no idea what I was doing. It sounds like I had no idea what I was doing, so if anyone owns that album, please burn it. It's part of the learning process, I suppose. I did my first professional album in 1989. I continued to write music, and one of the ways that I became a better guitar player is that I kept writing songs I couldn't play. So I heard somebody playing a drop D tuning, and that's where you tune the top string to a D, and it sounds really cool on a D chord because you can play all the strings. So I thought, I should write a song with that chord, and I came up with this. I like how the steering wheel is firm under my hand. I like how the headlights cut across the shadowland. I like how your voice is low and breathless in my ear. I like that it's cold outside, but warm in here. Surrounded by this highway, we like the speed of light. Baby, let's drive all night. So that's the first verse and chorus of my song, Drive All Night. And I had that D chord to begin with, and then I just added this. I had no idea what it was. I found out later that it's a G chord, and it's just a different way to play a G chord because you've got that D in the top here. So I'm going to put this back in standard tuning. So I continued to tour all over the US. I put out albums. I toured full-time for 13 years and then part-time for a little ways after that. Sometime in the early 2000s, I did a West Coast tour where if something could go wrong, it did. I was sick the entire time. I had an infected tooth. I had a cold that was so bad I croaked my way through several gigs. I had at least one gig cancel. There was an earthquake. There was an ice storm. There were rainstorms. It was terrible, and it looked like after a whole month of being on tour I was going to come home with $500 in my pocket, which didn't even come close to paying my bills. So I remember clearly being between gigs. I was driving around on a freeway in Los Angeles, and I called up my friend Barnard. Kara is an amazing musician and a music teacher, and after she listened to me whine about how the tour was going, she said, "You should teach." And I said, "Well, Kara, I only know my own songs." She goes, "You're a good guitar player. You'll figure it out." Okay, so I went home and I started advertising for students. I got a few. I broadened my horizon a little bit and I started teaching classes at a local art center. I taught at Duke University. I taught at festivals. I'm a pretty shameless self-promoter, so I would just put myself out there. And what really inspired me was a horrible divorce that I went through. I lost the house, the dog, most of our friends, my health insurance. The dog hurt the most. And so there I was out there on my own with no other income to back me up, and I amped up my teaching even more then. Then about 4 years ago, I decided that I would put together a lesson video and approach some of the educational platforms that you see online. One of them was Udemy, and I can't remember who else I approached. And they all turned me down. And I thought, okay, well, whatever. So I'll just slap up this video that I've been shopping around on YouTube. And I forgot about it. A few weeks later, I went up there and it had thousands of views. And I thought, well, heck, maybe I should do some more. So I did a few more and put them up there. And that first one, which is 5 strums you can use for almost any song, which you can still see here on my channel, kept getting views. Last time I checked, it had 1.6 million views, which is just mind-blowing to me. Just astounding. About 2 years ago, I monetized my channel, and more people have been tuning in. Last time I checked, I had 50,000 subscribers, which again, just blows my mind. And you all have been so nice. I get the most supportive comments from all of you, from all over the world. It's really great to know that I connect with so many people and that so many people have learned to play the guitar or their favorite song or whatever because they watched one of my videos. That means so very much to me. So I hope that you keep tuning in. I hope that you keep learning from what I do. And as always, if there's something that you would like to learn that you don't see at my channel, please put it in the comments below. And bless you all. Keep playing.